Eon, thank you for coming and joining me and for sharing just your wisdom or a little bit of your journey of how you ended up hanging out with this random woman and what the score is for you. So for those people who are on YouTube or on Facebook or on Instagram right now and they're going, oh my goodness, who is this guy? Can you just say who you are, what you get up to, and kind of how we met? Like, why did you want to hang out with Sally Webb or Inspiring Perspectives?
No, for sure. Yeah, well, so my name is Eon de Klerk. I've been in New Zealand for the past almost 6 years rather. And I'm currently employed as a civil engineering project manager. So in terms of my journey starting with you, it was basically about a year ago, I joined a new business. I got a new opportunity. And when I arrived, it was obviously very different from what I used to and the previous positions that I held, because I held quite a few senior positions in the past. It was quite different, right? So I kind of found myself in a position where I basically achieved I wouldn't say all life goals, but probably most of my life goals at that point in time at my previous business. And with me joining the new business, I kind of felt a little bit unsettled in terms of what my goal was, because I always had a goal, knew where I wanted to go, and so that was a bit of a challenge for me, right? And essentially, joining a new business, there's new people, and you need to form new relationships, and obviously that poses a challenge in itself, because people are very different, right? You don't always connect in the manner that you would expect, and I suppose that was quite a bit of a challenge in itself. So straight off the bat, I knew. I basically had to see someone to run a few ideas past, get back on the right path in terms of what my goals are for the next year, because I always had kind of like 5-year goals. So I thought maybe get that sorted out. What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And what do I need to put in place to actually reach those goals? And obviously basically just working on myself, because I was of the opinion, look, I've actually seen quite a few business coaches or life coaches rather, and everyone with really good skills, right? And I thought to myself, obviously offering various aspects, but no one actually specifically offered a course that dealt with yourself, right? And that was the important part to me, because I was of the opinion, if I want to be able to influence people and improve relationships, I would need to work on myself, and obviously aspects of my personality and how I approach certain positions to improve relationships with other people. I mean, everything these days is about personal relationships and how you get on with people. So yeah, that was a really important part or aspect for me rather.
I love it, because I've never actually asked you why you ended up choosing me, because I know that we sat and we had a coffee I remember going and having a coffee in a cafe, and you were kind of doing your research, and I said, oh, look, we'll have a chat, and if I'm the right coach for you, that's cool, and if I'm not, that's also cool, because we all need different things at different times. So yeah. I'm going to kind of put you a little bit on the spot, only because I don't know and I'm being curious. Why on earth, what made you choose me as the coach that you needed for this point in time for your life?
Like I said, I've seen quite a few people, and none of them were. I think everyone probably could have given me good advice in terms of what I had to implement and where I had to go, right? But it just didn't feel to me specialized in terms of improving yourself. It was all about improving situations and looking how you can mitigate certain aspects and what you need to do and how you need to go about it. But it didn't actually work on my own personality and how I approach certain things. So that was really important to me. And then you were obviously like happy-go-lucky, really full of energy, and that's what I liked. And I suppose the biggest thing to me that kind of stood out quite a bit, it wasn't was obviously that you're quite a firm believer or Christian as well. And that was a big part of my life that I personally felt I wanted to improve. And like we've had various discussions, right? For you to be able to achieve certain things, that should be the baseline of your life's goals going forward. And once you get that correct, then yeah, there's no turning back.
Oh, I love that. I love that because when I met you, I had no idea that you had any faith at all, and at the end of the day, it doesn't, all our journeys are different and where we're at is different. And I know that when we're coming, part of me sharing this journey or sharing testimonies with people who've worked with me is because we're coming up to a conference, and the conference for me is about kingdom. So it's not necessarily about religion, which could be Christian or whatever it is, and that's where I think kind of we've connected as well, as it hasn't been about which building or whatever the score is. It's just that personal, again, it's that personal relationship, but having a kingdom culture. So it's around goodness and honesty and respect and integrity. And as you said, if we all worked on ourselves, if we all invested in the best flipping real estate we've got, which is up here and in our hearts and minds, we'd never have a problem again. Like, we'd never ever have an issue. And I love the journey we've been on, because you started off, you said, right, I'll do your firecracker course, Sal, we'll get this going. And then you went, oh, actually, I think you went, this has actually been quite helpful. I think we'll continue. And just as you've said, it's been more of a two-way. As things have come up, it's been probably more on a consultancy role than anything else. To just, as things come up and those gnarly little whatever they are that's just holding us back, or we're not getting where we want to go, we've kind of nutted them out every time we've caught up, I think. Would that be fair?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, to me, it's been a huge lifeline in terms of certain situations that I've faced, rather in my business career or my personal life, being able to have those discussions with someone in terms of challenges I face and mitigation measures that I need to implement, right? Being able to get that feedback off you and bouncing ideas off each other has rather been really good for me in terms of making certain decisions. I think the important part to realize is that not everything is always going to go well, right? Doesn't matter how well you live your life or what you put in place. There's always going to be certain challenges that comes on your path and that you need to face. For me, what was really important was how I deal with it, and obviously how you deal with that specific situation, because like I said, again, it just comes down to relationships, because everyone reacts differently to certain scenarios, and how you handle that scenario or specific situation depends on your immediate reaction, right? And if you don't provide the reaction required or for that specific personality, it obviously causes a bit of a clash. So that's been really important to me. And like I said, look, I'm not saying I'm always making the right decisions, but at least I've got the tools available to think about something, whereas previously I would have, straight off the bat, I would have made a decision and it might have not been the right one, right? And I would be negative about the decision that I made or the situation that I find myself in. And like I said, it's not like nothing bad is going to happen. It just changes your thought process and how you actually process the information or the challenges you face and how you deal with it. So that's been really good to me. Actually stepping a little bit back, taking a breath, and actually assessing the situation and how you're going to react moving forward.
I love that. I love that because you're full of life. You've got you ooze personality. I know that you have opinions about things, or you see things in a different way, and you're on fire for that. And so often for many of us, when we are quite sure in how we feel and what we know, and then others aren't, we can do this. And not that that's what you were doing, but we've all got to work together and find that way of hearing and seeing each other's point of views. So I suppose if we were to look, because we've carried on like the whole year, we've journeyed together all the way through, and it's been an absolute honor to see you grow and thrive and sort things out and work things through and just go up a level and upper level and upper level each time. What would you say if somebody was sitting here now listening to this going, well, I'm not an engineer, or what would Sally going to do for me, or what would Inspiring Perspectives do for me? What would you say the key things that have been so different, or where it's really made a difference for you? What has it been?
I think probably considering, not that I didn't in the past, consider other people's perspectives or their opinions as well, right? But I think that's been a big thought, because as I stated, relationships are a two-way street, and how you react to certain situations that can have a big effect on it, right? So that's been a really big thing to me, to consider other people's personalities and how you deal with other personalities, and how that actually binds with my personality, right? And then, like I said, the fact that I was able to run my ideas past you, bounce ideas, get a better perspective of your opinion on the matter. Like I said, it's not that I have the right decision or you have the right decision, but that was really gold to me in terms of making the best decision going forward. And I think the other important aspect to realize is, and look, people will obviously think different about certain things, but for me, it's almost it's something that needs to happen constantly, right? That's why I decided to continue seeing you, because I might do really well, let's say, for the 8-week period that the course went on, but I feel, to me, it's something that feeds your soul, and it's constant feedback that you get from someone that also knows various situations and get exposed to various aspects and scenarios, and just improving that constantly. Like I said, no matter what you do, I think it's not going to take you a couple of weeks. It's a bit of a journey that you need to go on, and it's obviously every person's own decision to take that journey. And I felt it's something that I continuously need to do going forward, to constantly improve.
Do you know what? I wish I'd paid you for this, because that's gold. Like, I think the world, or generally, we all want a quick fix. We all want that, if we could take a pill and be better, we'd take it. Like, we want the easiest or quickest route. But the reality is that when we want to really be the best we can be, it's a constant process. So yeah, we did like the firecracker, get started, get your tools in your toolbox, because that's so important, because then you can use them. But then it's to, it's to keep that acceleration, it's to keep that momentum going. And it's a lifestyle choice. It's a lifestyle choice, and every day things will come against us, different scenarios will happen, something will happen, and we're like, oh, what can I do in that scenario or whatever. So I love that, and it has been an amazing time to be on the journey with you, and I'm looking forward to 2023. If you had a top tip for someone, because I love to hear what people's top bits, pearls of wisdom, or whatever it might be. So these are guys who don't know us, they don't know what Sally does, they're new to you, this whole scenario of maybe life coaching or what it's all about. What would your top tip, or what would your recommendation be?
I think the two biggest things that I probably, or rather three things, and I've gone over it quite a few times. The three biggest things that I probably would have identified to me was, again, identifying the goals and what I wanted to achieve within the next year. Because I think for everyone that's quite success driven, or not necessarily success driven, but driven in every aspect of their life, you need to have goals in place that you want to achieve, right? The next step is identifying those goals, make sure that actually lines up with your priority, and what you deem important, whether it's your family or your career or your finances or so forth, right? That was probably the biggest thing. And everything that doesn't form part of that, it's not required, because it just prevents you from meeting your goals or actually achieving your goals. The second thing was how I deal with certain situations. How I assess other people, how I react to certain scenarios. That was really important to me, because, again, everything's relationship based, right? Not everyone's always going to be right or wrong, but you need to have a common goal, or common choice rather, of what you wanted to achieve and how you're going to achieve that. The other thing that I thought was really important was that, I think from this entire process, was probably the biggest thing, was realizing that everything is not easy, right? It doesn't matter what mitigation measures you put in place or who you see, it's always going to be a challenge. But you provided me the tools that I needed to deal with it, and how I assessed the processes, and just basically not give up. I think that's a big thing. People give up so easily in terms of different scenarios they face, or different challenges they face. And I mean, even within the period that we've seen each other, there's been so many crazy things that actually happened in my life that I would have expected, right? But like I said, that's just unfortunate life. And it might not seem good at this point in time, but I know essentially God has a plan and it will work out perfectly. I might not know at this point in time what that plan is, but I know in future it would suit me perfectly in terms of where I have to go or what I want to achieve.
You are such a blessing. Do you know that? Your attitude and how you see life and just your faith has grown, I know, during this time. All of ours does, because when we get together, it can't do anything else but grow. And just, I know, as you say, you've had some, ups and downs during this time, but and it's to grow us. It's for the good. Like, we can use these testing times and draw back and not step into it. But I love the fact that you've come every week. When you've come, you're like, okay, this is the scenario. What do we do? Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. But every week you've stepped up, and every week you've stepped out, and every week you've learned something new, and you've gone that bit further. And it's like, wow. And then I think, I look back on who you were when you came in. You were a successful businessman before I even met you. Like, you were on fire. You've been driven. You achieve unbelievable things that you do. I mean, I don't know many people who work full time doing the hours that you do, have an amazing relationship which you do with your stunning wife, and then also are studying at the same time and still keeping up with mates and doing the lifestyle stuff. It's like but sometimes it can get busy, and it was really busy when I met you. You knew what you wanted to do. We're just getting that clarity, and you are full on. But I don't know, for me, I see a peace in you. I see this kind of, like, I don't have to worry about it. This is going to come right. And I think that that's part of our faith. It's part of growing that part of us, that we know that there is a plan, and you might not see it straight away in front of you, but it is there. And, you've had opportunities after open doors after open doors during our time together. It's like, wow, look at this. And you get to choose, because you see them. So you get to choose, and you get to choose whether that's the door you want to walk through or not.